You surround yourself with armed guards, so clearly you understand the benefit of the Second Amendment. At this very moment, how can a New Jersey resident who isn't already a gun owner exercise their Second Amendment rights?
Yeah, listen, first of all, it's good to have you back. You and I think, have a philosophical disagreement at a very basic level in the sense of the broad question of what does a safer society look like? And a safer society, for my taste, has fewer guns and not more guns. And that the guns that do exist are in the hands of the right people, particularly trained members of law enforcement, like the guy to my left who's got a pistol on his hip. I don't know if there's any more color to add beyond that. Is there any other? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I know I don't want to be disrespectful, but it is what it is. Listen,
and if less guns reduce crime, will you give up your personal bodyguards and wait police?
Listen, that's my personal bodyguards is not my decision. It's his decision, and you can deal with him offline. I've got exactly not one complaint from anybody that they were trying to buy a gun and they couldn't, other than you, and I respect that. But beyond that, I'm going to stay with what I've said already. Thank you for coming on. Dave.
I know what you're thinking. We're all perfectly safe in this classroom, right?
Empty weapon. This is a Glock 40. 50 Cent, Too Short, all of them talk about Glock 40. Okay, I'm the only one in this room professional enough that I know of to carry this Glock 40. I'm the only one. No more. Is everybody all right? So guys, never play with guns. See how accidents happen? They happen. Okay, now I'll probably never be able to show guns again. But Brian, bring that other gun out, Brian.
Let me show you something!
Brian. Yeah, Robert, leave that right there. Leave that right there. Brian. I think he called it right now. Bring that other gun out. Hey, see this gun right here, guys? Listen. See this gun? Look. Hey, hold on. It's empty. It's an empty weapon, guys. Don't listen. Stop the gun!
Hands up! Hands up!
Newly released video in the heat of a drug bust takedown. An apparent suspect with a gun is shot.
Put your hands where I can see them! Good! Good!
But what Albuquerque Police Lieutenant Greg Bracco quickly realizes is he just shot a fellow cop.
Oh, that was Jacob! Are you okay? No. Come on out, dude! Come on! I'm sorry, man! I didn't know it was you! Come here! Come here, Jacob! Jacob, shot!
Detective Jacob Grant, working undercover, is hit multiple times. He sued the city, which this week settled for $6.5 million. Since 2010, Albuquerque police shooting lawsuits have cost taxpayers more than $40 million.
I thought you were a bad guy!
What?
Hey, I'm a police officer! Police officer! I'm an officer! I'm a police officer!
Jesus, Frank, how was I supposed to recognize you?
You stupid fuck.
Frank, I didn't know you!
You didn't know me! You fire without looking? You fire without a warning, without a fucking brain in your head? Oh, shit. If I buy one, you motherfucker, I'm not gonna buy it from you.
This was the scene captured on cell phone video Monday. 47-year-old Charles Kenzie, unarmed, laying on his back, hands raised in the air.
Shut up!
The younger man sitting next to him is autistic and escaped from a nearby facility. Kenzie is his caretaker there. Police say they were responding to a 911 call of a man with a gun threatening to commit suicide. An object can clearly be seen in the young man's hand.
He's loading up his weapon.
The object was a toy truck. At some point during the incident, one officer reportedly fires 3 shots, not seen on video, hitting Kenzie once in the upper leg. A second video shows police handcuffing both men. Kenzie is recovering at a local hospital.
I still got my hands in the air. I say, no, I just got shot. And I'm standing there, I'm like, sir, why did you shoot me? And his words to me, he said, I don't know. As long as I got my hands up, they're not going to shoot me. This is what I'm thinking. They're not going to shoot me. Wow, was I wrong?
Can I see your license, please? Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
I just got my license. You say get my license? I grabbed my license right there. That's my license right there.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Freeze! Drop the weapon!
All right.
Drop the fucking weapon!
You win. You win. Gave you a hell of a run, though, huh? Worked off a few donuts.
What are you laughing at, asshole?
Well, I know something you don't know. You don't have shit on me.
Robbery, assault with a deadly weapon.
Oh, man, you fucked up, dude. You got the wrong guys. How do you kill somebody with a pellet gun, huh? It's a toy, dude. We're just out making a little money and having a little fun.
You're still going away.
Oh, maybe to summer camp, but that's about it, dude. I'm 17.
What?
I'm a juvie, scrote. Maybe I'll go and do a little freeway cleaning for a week, but then I'll be out cleaning cash registers again.
Oh, Christ, 17. That's a toy? Let me see that thing. Shit, it's a pellet pistol. Dumb kid pulled it on me. Saw the whole thing. Right, amigo?
Right, boss.
Newly released video shows the moment police officers shot and killed a Cleveland boy. We want to warn you, it is disturbing. Police say 12-year-old Tamir Rice was waving a toy gun at people near a playground. Rookie officer Timothy Lohman and 6-year veteran Frank Garmbach responded to a call. Dean Reynolds shows us how the video raises troubling questions about their 2-second decision to open fire.
The video shows that Tamir Rice was gunned down less than 2 seconds after this police cruiser arrived.
Shots fired. Male down. Black male. Maybe 20. Black revolver.
I've just sighted a suspicious male black exceeding the speed limit substantially. He's about 7 feet tall with the strength of 6 psychotic sailors on steroids. I could need air support.
But that was no adult. It was a 12-year-old child, and his weapon, a toy pellet gun that looked like the real thing.
What do you call this? Mr. Machine Gun Kelly?
It's a water pistol, a super soaker.
A super soaker? A super soaker? That's a semi-automatic sidearm if I've ever seen one. You get in a squad car. We'll be playing taser tag in the next week.
Deputy Chief Edward Tomba said they are still investigating why the officers pulled up so close and then opened fire almost immediately. He added Rice ignored 3 commands to put his hands up.
We've got 2 officers that were out there protecting the public that just had to, do something that nobody wants to do.
Rice's parents said the officers were too quick to fire. It is our belief that this situation could have been avoided and that Tamir should still be here with us, they said.
Mistaken for a killer. During the manhunt for rogue ex-cop Christopher Dorner, a mother and daughter were out delivering newspapers. Well, suddenly they found themselves in the crosshairs of the LAPD. Tonight, KCOM's Chris Holmstrom speaks to them about the night that would change their lives forever.
But 5 days earlier, at the height of the manhunt, Emma Hernandez and her daughter, Margie Carranza, found themselves in a hail of gunfire. It was during the early morning hours in the Torrance neighborhood. The two were out delivering newspapers when their truck was riddled by bullets. LAPD called it a case of mistaken identity. Officers thought Dorner was in the truck the two women were driving.
Si este millaje que yo andaba ese día, aquí tiene un agujero.
For the first time in 5 years, Emma is telling her story, a story that has become a living nightmare.
Y en ese momentito fue muchas. Nos tiraron en las llantas, tiraban atrás, tiraban a los lados, a todos lados de la troca.
Dozens of shots were fired.
Yo pensé, dije, Dios mío, me matan a mi hija y se van a quedar los niños solos. Entonces yo dije, que me maten a mí.
Like any mama bear, 71-year-old Emma used her body to shield her 47-year-old daughter. She was hit twice in her back. Through the years, she's slowly recovering, but the strength is still not there.
Ya no soy fuerte. Mi mente no está bien. Cosas así dañan a uno todo su vida completa.
Her daughter, Margie, was also injured. She suffered cuts to her hand. She too wanted to share her story, but didn't want to show her face.
Tenerle miedo a todo el mundo. Salir en la madrugada sin saber si voy a regresar.
After the shooting, the two were awarded a settlement from the city of Los Angeles, $4.2 million. They tell me each of them got $1 million. Their attorney got the rest.
¿Para qué quiero el dinero? Yo vivía tranquila. Vivíamos tranquilos.
It was in this Torrance neighborhood where the two women were delivering newspapers. Then, out of nowhere, shots fired by the LAPD, 103 rounds.
What the hell are you doing?
Sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. We thought you were someone else.
The 8 officers who fired the shots were never charged.
No sé qué pasó. Hasta el día de hoy no lo sé por qué lo hicieron. Quiero mi vida de antes.
Questions she may never get answers to. The reality is, 5 years later, there's still no closure for this family. It's something they may never have. But one thing this family does have is each other.
Es difícil. Es solamente por una equivocación de ellos. Dañó la vida de las dos. De mi hija y la mía. Nunca vamos a ser igual.
A first in the history of U.S. law enforcement.
Taking fire. We are taking fire.
A rolling shootout with hostages with automatic weapons. Scores of police cars hit as gunmen indiscriminately fire an AK-47 from an SUV speeding through the streets of Stockton, California. The 3 heavily armed gunmen had just robbed this bank, taking 3 innocent women hostage. One of them, Missy Holt-Singh, withdrew money for a hair appointment from the ATM. Her 12-year-old daughter watching nearby as a gunman uses her mother as a human shield. For 62 minutes, police car after police car pursue the SUV, reaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. One hostage thrown out of the SUV. Another jumps for her life. but Holt Singh is still inside with the 3 gunmen. There are so many bullets from the SUV, 14 police cars are disabled, including an armored SWAT vehicle. The gunmen refusing to surrender. Officers so terrified they text their loved ones while in pursuit, fearing they won't survive. Then comes this final moment. The gunfire goes on and on.
Well, that was about 300 gunshots.
It was actually much more. Now, more than a year later, this independent investigation by the Washington-based Police Foundation found more than 600 shots were fired. The hostage, Misty Holt Singh, was struck 10 times by police bullets, killing her instantly.
Shoot the hostage.
Say goodbye, Harry.
You fuck.
The report described a chaotic scene with very little control, just police officers trying to stop a threat.
The report did identify a need for more training and response plans for heavily armed hostage situations, which we will review.
This is a classic case of contagious fire.
Meaning one cop fires and the others follow suit.
How you doing, Trooper? Give me the bullhorn.
You've got to control the situation. You don't let the situation control you. You got to be tactically aware. If rounds are being fired at you, you want to distance yourself from that. You want to get the proper resources to the problem.
And that didn't happen in this case.
Not in this case.
At approximately 4:15 this afternoon, the Regency Jewelry Store in Coral Gables was robbed by 2 armed individuals. As the individuals were fleeing, shots were fired and it was reported across the street at the City Hall in Coral Gables. As the suspects fled the area, they hijacked a UPS truck and kidnapped the driver. The armed suspects engaged law enforcement, opened fire. There was exchange fire between law enforcement and the suspects, and unfortunately, the suspects are now deceased, but 2 additional innocent civilians were also deceased.
Well, I mean, my officers responded, but they were pretty far behind it, so we've had people sent up there. The Miami-Dade Police Department, I saw exactly what everybody else saw, along with, I believe, other Broward County units. This is what dangerous people do to get away, and this is what people will do to avoid capture. If people give up and are held accountable for their crimes, then we wouldn't put these many people in danger.
Say goodbye, Harry.
Oh, what the fuck's happening?
The disturbing video shows police opening fire on a suspect and also hitting the woman he's using as a human shield. Now her son is speaking out.
It hurts me so much knowing I'll never be able to see, talk, or listen to my mother again because the police didn't know how to handle a situation properly.
The drama began with a frantic 911 call about a stabbing at a church.
Hi, I have someone who stabbed somebody at my location. I need the police now.
Is the person who did the stabbing still there?
Yes, he is.
3 police officers drove up and saw 32-year-old Guillermo Perez with a bloody knife in his hand.
Throw the knife! Hey, put the knife down! Turn around, put the knife down! Put the knife down!
Here's Jim Murray.
The suspect was confronted here outside a homeless shelter next to a church. The video shows officers ordering him to drop his weapon at least 15 times. When he didn't comply, officers used non-lethal beanbags to try to bring him down.
The beanbags either missed or struck a metal chair he was using as a shield. He then grabbed a woman with a walker and put the knife to her throat. That's when the officers opened fire. 18 shots in total were fired, but 2 bullets struck the
hostage, 49-year-old Elizabeth Tollison. Her family cannot believe she lost her life this way.
The police had no regard for my mother's life and shot her down. The situation could have been handled in so many different ways, but it looks like they chose to make it the worst case scenario.
Inside Edition security consultant Steve Cardian told me only one of the officers appeared to have a chance of taking down the suspect without harming the hostage.
The guy on the left-hand side had probably the only good shot of his head, and sometimes in those circumstances, everybody reacts.
Details of the tragedy are emerging just days after another innocent bystander was killed by LAPD officers in that shootout at Trader Joe's.
Say goodbye, Harry.
LAPD Chief Michael Moore says it's been 13 years since a hostage was killed by an LAPD cop. Now, it's happened twice in quick succession.
My heart goes out to this victim's family. And I also feel for the officers who were involved in this, as their lives will be forever changed.
Philadelphia Police Sergeant Robert Ralston is thrown off the job, tagged a liar. Back on April 5th, while on duty near 57th and Lancaster, Ralston called for help, claiming he was in a shootout and was shot in the shoulder. But Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey says early this morning, Ralston finally came clean about what really happened.
About 4 a.m. this morning, he changed his story and admitted that he in fact shot himself.
Police say as part of his lie, Ralston, a 21-year veteran, also told investigators the suspects were two black men.
Hey, fool, wasn't me. I ain't hurt nobody.
Catch.
The man.
Have a nice day. Oh, yeah.
He's good. Come on, Trey. Let's get out of here.
The fact that he stated that two African Americans were involved in this, again, just, I think, inflames tensions in our community.
Ramsey says Ralston's story stunk from the beginning. The evidence just didn't support it.
The powder on the shirt matched the same kind of ammunition we use in the department.
And the commissioner says Ralston only confessed after cutting a deal with prosecutors.
He was given a proffer, which pretty much granted him immunity from criminal prosecution.
No one answered at Ralston's home when I stopped by for comment, and the Fraternal Order of Police declined to comment. But some of Ralston's neighbors say they are bothered by the deal he got.
If it was one of us who fabricated a story, we'd be in jail.
But I think he's probably getting off easy because he's a police officer.
Police say they still don't know why Ralston lied, but that's insignificant to a much bigger problem created by that lie.
An FBI agent's backflip at a club looked pretty impressive until this happened. He lost his gun and accidentally shot someone. Video of the off-duty agent showed him unleashing his dance moves at a bar in Denver, but mid-flip, his weapon flew out of his waistband holster. The agent lunged for the gun, accidentally firing it as he was picking it up. One person was struck in the leg, but that person is expected to be okay. The district attorney's office must now decide whether charges should be filed against that off-duty agent.
Say some gangster is dissing your fly girl. You just give him one of these. Ooh, hey, ah, ooh.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
dog inside here too. Whoa, whoa! Whoa! Get out! Get back! Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Gross, right in the fucking eyeball. Bet you're glad he gave me that gun.
Those who died are justified for wearing the badge and your chosen white. You're justified. Those that died for wearing the badge and your chosen white. Those who died are justified for wearing the badge and your chosen white.
My name is Joseph Lozito. On February 12, 2011, my life was changed forever. It happened on the subway just like this. I got up that morning, it was like any other morning. I get on the train, I enter the train, I come right to this seat where I'm sitting right now. I sit down, it's a first seat in the first car. On the other side of this wall is the engineer of the train. After I sit down, 2 uniformed police officers enter the train the same door I did. They proceed to go right into the motorman's compartment through a door just like this. The next thing I know, a man comes up from the middle of the car. He comes to a door, starts banging on the door, bang, 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 looking through the window. And he says, "Let me in, I'm the police." And the police officer behind the door, looking through that window, looks at him and says, "You're not the police."
It turned out there were 2 cops on the other side of the door, lying in wait in case Gelman hopped on this train. I found out later they'd recognized him, but they didn't charge out to stop him. Instead, they asked him a polite question.
Who are you? I'm the police. You're not the police.
You'd expect 2 armed cops to, I don't know, maybe do something about a wanted fugitive spree killer that they were on the train specifically to arrest, but they stayed put.
With that, the gentleman turns around and walks back to the middle of the car. As soon as that gentleman left this area, another person that was standing right here next to me comes up here, frantically starts tapping on the window, alternately tapping and looking over his shoulder at the first man, trying to get the police attention, trying to get them to come out. And he's tapping on the window and he's waving, and he's tapping on the window and he's waving. Still no action, they don't come out. The first gentleman that tried to get in, the one who impersonated a police officer, stops 2 feet from me, maybe 3 feet from this door, looks at me, looks down at me, I look up at him, he takes out an 8-inch cooking knife, looks me dead in the eye and says, "You're gonna die, you're gonna die." And with that, he takes the knife and plunges it into my face. I realize now I'm in a fight. So he plunges the knife into my face, now he's gonna come back. So he recoils his arm back for another plunge, and when he brings it back, I shot for his legs. And while I took him down, I was able to take him down, it gave him free rein for the back of my head. And while I was taking him down, he proceeded to stab me and slice me in the back of the head 3 separate times down to my skull. Now what he's doing is he's lying flat on the floor, he has a knife in his hand, and he's slicing up trying to get me. And I'm trying to catch his hand with my left hand. Finally, the 3rd time he slices up, I'm able to catch his hand, I slam it down, he drops the knife.
Once I had him pinned and was, dying of blood loss, the cops decided it was safe enough to arrest Gelman. Next thing I remember is a cop tapping me on the shoulder. "You can get up now, we got him." I thought that was being charitable, but at the time I didn't exactly feel argumentative. There was no pain yet, just this warm feeling from the blood gushing out of me. It was like standing in the shower with warm water spraying the top of your head and flowing down the back of your neck. And again, when you'd expect the police to jump to my aid, they didn't. None of them even touched me. The only guy to render aid was another passenger, Alfred Douglas, aka Napkin Man, because he staunched my bleeding injuries with napkins. I think Napkin Man probably saved my life, but at this point I'd been stabbed roughly all the times a person can be stabbed while remaining conscious. And so I passed out. When I eventually came to in the hospital, it was kind of frustrating to realize that none of the early coverage mentioned me or Napkin Man. The police gave all the credit to the 2 officers who'd been in the subway train with me, only neither of them actually even left the booth until I disarmed Gelman. During the grand jury hearing, one of the cops testified, "I started to come out, I opened the door, but I thought Gelman had a gun, so I closed the door and stayed inside. I can see how in a stressful situation you might mistake a knife for a gun. But also, that kind of makes it more infuriating. If you, Mr. Cop A. Policington, thinks this insane, drug-addled murderer has a gun, and he's sitting on a train bound for Times Square, don't you want to stop him at all costs? So yeah, I decided to sue the NYPD.
I believe they put in the motion to dismiss to get rid of me right away. This is bad publicity for them. Why would they want this story out there? They cited a law, and I don't know if it's a law or a loophole in the law, but what they said was basically they did not owe me or anyone else on that train a duty to protect. Even though everyone says their motto is to serve and protect, there are laws on the books where a police officer has no duty to protect you. So even though that day I was as armed as what you're seeing right now, and they were armed with guns and nightsticks and the element of surprise, they owed no obligation to me or anyone else on this train to protect us. What do you say to that? What do you say when there's two police officers less than 2 feet away from you behind a door? They have guns, I have nothing. They have nightsticks, I have nothing. So there were many factors that played into me bringing a lawsuit against these officers.
If you ever get the chance to confront a dangerous armed madman, don't trust in the police having your back. Don't expect to get the credit, and hope like hell there's another napkin man waiting in the wings to help you.
Hey, how come you guys are hanging back?
That would be a good question for the chief of police.
I mean, I haven't seen the cops around people and just like beating the shit out of each other.
A public statement, right?
No, I'm just asking you guys. I mean, you're here.
I would defer you to our public information officer.
So they told you to hang back?
As I said, I defer you to our public information officer. What's your next question?
I mean, I'm just wondering why I've been watching all day. People get beat up pretty bad. I haven't seen you guys around much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And?
As I mentioned, I'm not really mad at the guy that did this. And I'm certainly not mad at the guns that did this. They didn't walk in there by themselves and pull their own triggers. The guy that did it was a lunatic. That's like being mad at a rabid dog. I'm mad at my legislators for legislating me out of the right to protect myself and my family. I would much rather be sitting in jail with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive. As far as these so-called assault weapons, you say that they don't have any defense use. You tell that to the guy that I saw on a videotape of the LA riots, standing up on his rooftop, protecting his property and his life from an entire mob with one of these so-called assault weapons. Tell me that he didn't have a legitimate self-defense use. Just one final statement. I've been sitting here getting more and more fed up with all of this talk about these pieces of machinery having no legitimate sporting purpose, no legitimate hunting purpose. People, that is not the point of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not about duck hunting. And I know I'm not going to make very many friends saying this, but it's about our right, all of our right, to be able to protect ourselves from all of you guys up there.